Well, I would say Benavidez, but he's too, you know, that weight class is too high for him. So, you know, where he's at now is great.
You know, the skill, the IQ, the movement of Terence Crawford would just be too much for Canelo Alvarez, and that's exactly what happened. I mean,
no, it does not take me too long.
And Terence Crawford, no, really doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts. No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts.
Turki AlalSheikh ignites the boxing world with his call for Crawford versus Benavidez in 2026. This isn't just a matchup, it's a collision of greatness. Crawford, the pound-for-pound master, against Benavidez, the rising powerhouse, has fans buzzing about skill versus size like never before.
It's happy. It's something amazing, never have in your life again. I hope to live to see it.
Now the spotlight shifts to David Benavidez' own reaction to Crawford. Benavidez, the Mexican monster, fights at 168, but naturally walks around 175 pounds, making him a huge threat. Still, Crawford's resume eclipses his. Undisputed at 140, three-division king, pound for pound #1. This matchup would be pure size versus skill, and Bud's sharpness could neutralize even Benavidez' physical edge.
David, do you think Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo?
Nah, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
Crawford coolly sizes Benavidez up, pointing out the glaring truth. David is no longer a 168 fighter, but a natural 175. Pounder Bud isn't scared, just realistic. This is the mindset of a pound-for-pound king who studies his prey before stepping in the ring.
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude, you know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look
right not now, that 175. Yeah.
He probably can't even make 168. When you look at these fights, you know.
And as Crawford elaborates further, he breaks down exactly why Benavidez is such a big ask. Here, Bud gives Benavidez his due credit, a talented, dangerous fighter, but still underscores the size gap. Crawford's tone is part respect, part strategy, a champion calculating every variable before making his next move. This is how greats stay on top across divisions.
At 168, when we think about anybody at 168 outside of Canelo, the first name that comes to anybody's mind is David Benavidez. What about the potential for a fight like that?
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude, you know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look
right not now, at 175. Yeah.
He probably can't even make 168. When you look at these fights, you know, especially coming up, you gotta be realistic. You gotta, you know, say, all right, you know, how big is this dude really is? Because David Benavidez, he can fight his ass off.
This matchup feels like a promotional creation rather than a sporting one. Benavidez is now a solid one, 7'5" pounder, while Crawford's dominance has come through natural progression across divisions. Cutting David back to 168 would strip him of his edge and dilute what could otherwise be a truly elite clash.
Try to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at one.
Greg Hackett underlines what many insiders already know. Benavidez' real ambitions were always pointed at Canelo when both were active at 168. His climb to 175 came naturally as his body filled out and his career evolved. Crawford, on the other hand, didn't need to call out Benavidez because he was busy clearing out champions at 140 and then shocking the world at welterweight. Forcing these two paths to intersect now feels like a manufactured spectacle rather than the culmination of a rivalry. While Turki AlalSheikh's influence and power can stage mega events, the sporting logic still matters. Crawford's legacy is built on skill and calculated challenges. Benavidez is still developing at light heavy. Until both men naturally converge at a fair weight, the matchup will remain more of a talking point than a sporting necessity.
He has had some tough tasks in front of him that he want to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he want to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68. He was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turki trying to pull rank. So Turki trying to show he got a golden.
The conversation shifts to how Coach Bredman evaluates the physical demands Crawford would face against Benavidez. Coach Bredman recognizes what would make Benavidez such a physically demanding assignment. Benavidez brings length, pressure, and late-round stamina at a frame that naturally sits around 175 pounds. This means Bud would be stepping into a fight where his usual reach and physicality advantages disappear. Yet history shows that Crawford thrives when underestimated, from his dominance at 140 to dismantling Errol Spence at welterweight. He's always solved puzzles that seem too big. The key here isn't whether Crawford can handle Benavidez at his natural size, but whether Benavidez can safely and effectively return to 168 to make the fight competitive. Without that, the bout risks becoming more about spectacle than skill. A fair fight needs both men at their best weight, and that's currently not the case.
And then at 60, there's no big names at 60. 68, maybe the Benavidez fight. That's a tough fight for Bud. I ain't gonna lie, that's a tough fight. Benavidez ain't no joke. Yeah, that's a tough fight. I don't know if Bud can overcome that. That's different. That's a lot. That's a lot to overcome. Height, reach, the speed of Benavidez coming downhill, the stamina. This a guy that does get stronger as the fight goes also. So some of the advantages he had over Canelo, he wouldn't have at Benavidez. I think it will be a question if Benavidez can make the weight.
Jose Benavidez Sr. makes a point many fans echo. David's size and youth compared to a 38-year-old Crawford could tilt the odds. But greatness has never been about comfort zones. Crawford's ability to dissect opponents, adapt mid-fight, and execute precise counters has separated him from peers in every division. Age brings experience as much as it brings miles, and Bud's ring IQ is second to none. David's high-volume style would test Crawford's patience and defensive craft, but it also leaves openings for the kind of sharp counters Bud thrives on. While Benavidez may be the Mexican monster at 175, the question remains whether his power and pace would hold up if forced back to 168 or catch weight. This is exactly why the fight intrigues fans but still feels stacked against sporting logic right now.
I think David's too big for Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford will be like 38 years old, you know? I mean, it will not be the same as Canelo, man. We know David comes in and throws a lot of punches and put the pressure. And no disrespect to Terence Crawford, he's the best pound for pound. He's in the books to do history. He did something that nobody could do. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the Mexican monster.
Mac Crawford's longtime trainer responds firmly to speculation about matching Bud with Benavidez. Mac's tone cuts through the noise. Team Crawford isn't chasing Benavidez. The focus is on maintaining belts, staying sharp, and choosing the right challenges at the right time. This isn't fear, it's discipline and legacy management. Crawford has spent his career climbing weight classes and beating champions at their best. Benavidez, while dangerous, is an unproven commodity at 175 who hasn't yet defined himself beyond Canelo's shadow. Forcing a rushed fight at a non-ideal weight serves neither fighter's greatness. Mac's message is clear. Crawford will not compromise his strategic approach just for spectacle. When Bud moves, it's calculated, not reactive. That patience has made him pound for pound #1 and could ultimately decide whether a future clash with Benavidez ever makes genuine sense in boxing terms.
Canelo,
Turkey job.
People
Turkey
are talking about it.
Turkey hit it at that. He was like Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey.
did.
So
Turkey just posted at this moment, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terence Crawford.
No.
He ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts. You know, we just gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
The analyst highlights the underlying problem. AlalSheikh's power can create headlines, but boxing still lives and dies on weight, timing, and career arcs. Benavidez is comfortable at 175, his body and style built for light heavyweight clashes. Dragging him back to 168 for a fight with a man who began his career at 135 pounds would be more theater than sport. Crawford has already done the improbable by climbing weight classes and beating the elite at each stage. That legacy deserves challenges on fair terms, not circus conditions. The idea of Benavidez shedding down to super middleweight just to meet Bud risks robbing fans of a true contest. David would be drained, Bud would face criticism regardless of the result. A true mega fight must allow both fighters to arrive at their best, and right now that simply isn't the case. Turki's vision of a blockbuster may happen, but it would need to be at a catchweight, or once both men naturally align.
Benavidez, that's just Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. You know what I mean?
I understand that Turkey likes to make these big grand events, but there's a boxing aspect to this shit too. Like some stuff gotta make boxing sense. Bringing the dude down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 68, and then having him fight a dude that just jumped 3 weight classes in 2 fights and started his career off at 35.
Right.
Like, no, bro. No.
Yeah, I don't want to see that fight. There's no point. There's no point. Like I said.
If Terence Crawford and David Benavidez ever meet under fair conditions, it would be one of boxing's most daring matchups. Crawford, who started at lightweight and became a 3-division champion, has built his legacy on skill, timing, and calculated risk. Benavidez, the Mexican monster, is a natural one. 7'5" whose size and relentless style pose a completely different threat. This fight wouldn't just be about belts, it would be about history. Can the pound-for-pound king neutralize youth and power, or can Benavidez crash through technique with sheer physicality? Mentally, Crawford's ring IQ and composure are unmatched, but Benavidez' hunger and natural frame make him dangerous. Fans would be watching not only a fight, but a collision of eras and styles. Who would you back in this showdown? Crawford's precision or Benavidez' power? Drop your prediction in the comments and join the debate.